Hey folks, how you doing? This is Jim again. Um, I just thought I'd share some information with you, a little bit, a little couple of tips here. Um, Here's what really spawned this video. I had a client recently who was running a small website. They were doing their own hosting, and it's going all right. They don't get a lot of traffic, so their connection could handle it. But their website is running on kind of an old platform. It's like Server 03 IIS on 10-year-old hardware, and they're thinking, it's about time maybe to virtualize this. You know, 10-year-old hardware and operating systems that are probably just about out of support. You don't want to deal with that. And they've had some issues with people trying to hack the site, and they happen to be a religious organization, and a lot of people don't like that, and they try to do nasty things. But anyway, what they're looking for was maybe to do some kind of virtualization. And as I've shown you in the past, we've already done some work with VirtualBox. Now, aside from ESXi, probably, if you're going to do anything in kind of production mode that isn't going to get a real heavy burden or heavy load, VirtualBox will work for you. You can host it on just about any platform. So, and you've already seen me do some videos about hosting old versions of Windows like 98 and 3.1, and some games on DOSBox, and DOSBox is a little different, but in VBox, I call VBox VirtualBox. I've hosted some stuff. Anyway, it's pretty flexible in what you can do with it. So to that end, I said, well, can we make this work? So I did a little test deployment here in my office, and I just thought I'd share that with you. And some of the hang-ups I ran into, and maybe some little tips that'll keep you from having too many headaches. Now, I know there's other videos out there where people have done zPanel, showed you stuff, but I'm going to show you maybe a little more friendlier version. I'm not quite the Linux geek or guru you find on these days, and I'll try to fill in the blanks there, because sometimes the problem with the open source community is they assume knowledge that isn't necessarily there and point you at resources that make your eyes bleed. So anyway, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go to zPanel's page here, and you see here's zPanel. It's basically a hosting administration program, and you can see it runs on Linux and Windows, and it'll even run on Mac, which isn't too surprising considering that Mac here is a lot of this, so a lot of BSD if you can't see the mouse cursor. But when you have these platforms, I tried pretty much all of these except Mac, and to me trying it on Mac would be like trying it on Windows, which is, I don't know, kind of cheating, and really not something I would consider for a production server. And what I found was that the happiest combination, the one that gave me the least pain, was actually running zPanel on top of this, on top of CentOS, which CentOS, is, for all intents and purposes, the open source version of Red Hat Enterprise. Red Hat develops for it. It's all open source. It uses Yum as its package manager. It's pretty easy and pretty lightweight. Now, what I do with CentOS is when I do the install, I actually will install a desktop, so there will be some X there, but I don't put in a bunch of apps for that, just very basic. All I want is for some basic admin stuff, just because I don't like to waste a lot of time with command lines if I can do a click faster. It's all about getting this stuff up quickly, and nobody's going to pay you extra money for your command line skills, so there's that. But anyway, to get started, I went ahead and went to the CentOS project, and I'm going to go to their download page. And here's the thing. Now, if you're going to run zPanel, zPanel on top of CentOS, I will give you a hint. It's going to want a specific version of CentOS. Like a lot of stuff in open source, it's real sensitive to the versions of libraries and things like that that come with the OS. And if you have the wrong version, zPanel is going to pitch a fit and probably won't run. Right now, and this came out late March, early April, the latest release of it is this 10.1.1, and this is as of July 1st, 2014. Whenever you see this, the thing to remember is find out whatever platform you're running, find out what platform is compatible with whatever the latest stable release. For this release, the latest stable release that'll work of zPanel on CentOS is CentOS 6.4. There is 6.5 out right now, and it might upgrade itself to that later on, but you want 6.4. Mostly because if you download, and I try this, if you do 6.5 and you try to install zPanel, zPanel is going to crash. It's just not going to work. It's going to have issues. So match your Linux distro and the version of your Linux distro to your zPanel version. So right now, if you're going to do 10.1.1 and you're going to do CentOS, it wants a 6.4 release, which you see this is the 6.4. You need to find the 6.4. So this is CentOS 6.4, not 6.5. Okay, so we're looking around here, and unfortunately, it's kind of hard to track down. All they have now is 6.5 is the latest release, and there's nothing wrong with 6.5 in and of itself, but you will have a problem with zPanel because there's some incompatibilities there. They upgraded some things that zPanel does not like. So you may have to do a little searching. I just did a Google search, like here. If you do just CentOS 6.4, you'll find that somebody is still going to have it. If you click this, like a link here, I don't want a live CD. Let's see. Usually I go with the live DVD ISO, and you just click it and download it, and you see it's downloading. It's about 1.8 gigs. I'm going to go ahead and cancel this because I actually already have this. But you see it's pretty simple. You download 6.4. Once you have that, okay, what you're going to be doing is you're actually going to get, after CentOS is set up and running and happy, you're going to actually be running a command line to let it start downloading. Basically, it's like a apt-get script, and it's going to do the install. Why it fails is because the script that it runs is looking for specific version numbers, and when it doesn't find them, it just crashes. Remember, this is open source, so it's not like a Windows install, so it's a little more sensitive. But knowing that, let's go ahead and open up our VirtualBox. Okay, and I already have one made here, but I'll show you all the steps of basically starting a new one. We'll do a new VirtualBox. We'll call it zPanel CentOS, and it already picked out Red Hat, and that's fine. And it's 64-bit, that's what we want. I like to give about 2.5 gig of memory to it, just so it has plenty. Now, you can make a virtual hard drive for it. This is where all your storage files are going to be. I'm going to create, when it says recommended size of 8 gig, I'm not going to do 8 gig. I'm going to do a little bigger. I'm going to use, instead of VDI, I'm going to use the VMDK because that's basically the ESX file format, and I'm looking for something that can be portable so that if I want to maybe export this particular VM or virtual machine to say ESX or ESXi, I'll have a little easier time of it than trying to figure out how to translate a VDI image. So we'll go ahead and do that. Now, see this dynamic. In my experience, Linux doesn't like its files, its hard drive changing on their own. So I'm going to say a fixed size, and this is where I'm going to set it to about 20 gig. So go ahead and do that. There we go. And now I'm going to create the volume. And we'll take a little break here because this could take a while. Okay, so we're done with our 20 gigabyte partition. And we're going to go ahead and power this thing up, and we're going to attach that ISO, that DVD ISO that we downloaded a little bit ago. So I'm going to go ahead and start it. And of course it'll fail, but that's normal. And you see we get this. So we don't even have to manually set up the CD DVD. I'm going to go ahead and pick my file. So I'll make a virtual drive. And here it is, the CentOS 6.4. I'm going to say go ahead and start. And we're starting our virtual machine. There we go. Install.